Hello, today we're going to learn how to build a word wheel using Lightburn and then cutting it out on the laser engraver. This is a word wheel if you haven't seen one before. It's a series of circles with letters on them, and you spin the various circles around until you get a word. In this case, there's four wheels. So you do a word LAWN, for example, and you see if any of the other letters line up to make a word. And in this case, lawn lines up with pear. So yay, you got a match. And there's supposed to be a whole bunch. I don't remember how many there are, but there's quite a few. Um, and there may even be more than two. So you might don't just stop. Oh, pear, that was it. I think pear is all on this particular one um, with lawn. But when you're looking at it, make sure you keep looking until you go all the way around, because sometimes there's more than two. All right, so we're going to do this, and I think we're going to do a five circle version, so we can use this for Wordle as well, if you're familiar with Wordle. So basically, it's going to be five circles plus this little circle. They're going to all have a hole in the middle that we're going to put a dowel through, so that, see, the hole's going to go all the way through. That is a dowel right there. It's going to go from that end to that end, and that's going to let them spin around each other. Okay, and let's get started. Does that sound good? Let's get started. Okay, so let's open up Lightburn and open up a new project. All right, and what is this? This is made out of circles, right? So let's start with a circle. All right, so let's go over here to the, on the left, to the I have a rectangle right now, so I'm going to hold down the left button and I'm going to go to ellipse. And if I hold down shift when I make an ellipse, it makes a perfect circle. And that is going to be way too big, but that's okay. We are going to make that, let's say 6 inches. All right. You can measure this if you want. The big one's about 6 inches, and then it comes down about a quarter inch each time, um, roughly. So, but we're going to just make the bigger one. Well, you'll see how we do this in a minute. Okay, so we've got this circle, and we are going to now put in the letters. Right, we got to put in the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through Z. All right. So let's start with the alphabet. We got to write it down. And I want them to be a different color. I want them to be like this color. All right, so we're going to do hold on. We're going to do capital lock A, so I don't have to do the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. All right, and we are going to, we're going to change that to fill. That's why I did that a different color. That way it fills in the letters. All right, and I think that looks pretty good. And there's a couple of different ways we can do this at this point. So we can basically, we can just go back to select tool and we can select these two and then right click and we get apply path to text. And then it just puts the text around there. And then we can mess with the, we can go back to the letter tool and double click on the letters and notice how the little cursor is right there, and now we have access to all of this stuff. It's not grayed out anymore. We can change the font, we can change the height, we can change the spacing, and we can do the alignment, and that alignment is what lets us do things like this. All right, so that does that, and then we can actually, that works pretty good. I think that worked pretty good. All right, so then we're going to make another, if you go back to here, so there's another circle, right? Okay, so how big do we make that circle? That circle needs to be right under there. So we're just going to make another perfect circle. So we hold down Shift, that makes a perfect circle. Oh, you know what, let's change that back to the other one so it's not filled in. And we're going to go over here. And you know what, I think that's going to be about 5.5 inches. Let's see what that is. Oh, that was a little bit too big. So let's just go down to like 5.4. All right. And then if we, oh, hold on, undo that. That's the arrow going to the left, swirling to the left. Let's select the select tool. Let's select these and let's group that if we can do that. It looks like it's already grouped. Oh, that's good. All right. So we just move all that all by itself. It should be already grouped. Okay, so if we do these and we align center, it align and see that one is just too big. So let's take that smaller circle. And so we can either say, okay, well, we need to make the text smaller or the circle smaller. So actually, let's go back to the text and let's make it smaller. It's 0.73 inches. That's quite a bit big. But you know what? When we do that, we lose our spacing. So let's not do that. Let's go back to that. Okay, and let's just make the circle. Let's do the select tool and the circle. Select the circle. Let's just make it a little bit smaller until we get it just under there. There we go. That is 4.9. Okay. So now we want to make a copy of that circle. So we Control C and then Control V to paste. And now this is going to be the circle that we do that text to. And we also want to make a copy of this. Actually, you know what? You know what we can do? We don't need to do this. Hold on. We can go back over here. Let's get rid of this thing that we just did. All right. What was the size of this? This was 4.9. So let's copy this whole thing. All right. Control C. We're going to Control V, and we're going to make it 4.9. Boom. It's going to shrink it all down proportionally. Look at that. And that's going to perfectly fit in there, and everything is going to line up beautifully. Except actually it doesn't. Now that I'm looking at it, it looks like it goes from V to A. Oh, that's weird. Okay. So you know what? There is a problem with doing it that way. Let's go back here to this, to the text, and just a moment. Let's change that a little bit. And see, okay, there we go. We have a little bit better spacings. Let's do like 0.61. Just kind of play with that till we get that a little bit. Let's do 0.62. Does that do anything better? I think that may be pretty good. Okay, so then let's go back to this circle here, and let's increase that height a little bit. Let's make that 5. See if that fits in there. Oh, that does. That looks a little bit better. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. Okay, so we're going to copy this. You know what, we're going to group that. We're going to copy this. Control C, Control V, and then we're going to change that to, because we made the inner circle 5, so we're going to make that 5 over here. All right, for the width or the height, doesn't matter which one, it's proportional. All right, and then that is going to fit right in there. And then look at that. Everything lines up nicely. Okay, so that's going to give us that one. Now we just have to figure out what size this is. All right, and we do have to ungroup everything. Remember, that's the friendless person over here, the group of people. That's right there for grouping. The one person all by himself, alone and friendless, that's ungrouping. So we need to make him friendless. All right, and then we're going to go in here, and we're just going to select that one right right there, and that is 4.1667. I am not going to remember that, so I'm going to write that down over here. 4.1667. Okay? We can get rid of that later. All right, and so we're going to go back over, I guess we can go back over here, and we're going to copy, Control C, and paste, Control V, and we're going to make that, what was it, 4 something? 4.1667. Okay, and let's make sure that that lined everything up just perfect. Oh, and look, it does. That's pretty cool. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make this guy, this guy is not grouped, so we should be able to select that one, and that's 3.4723. 3.4723. All right, and then we're going to just select these again, and Control C, Control V, and we're going to change that to that's the width or the height to 3.4723. And remember, these are the numbers that I'm getting. You may get something a little bit different. Oh, that's weird. It didn't make the same. Make it exactly the same. Okay, hold on. 3.4723. 3.4723. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. 3.4723. Tab. 3.4723. Enter. Okay, close enough. All right, so that gives us our 4 circles with our things. Oh, but we want to do 5 because we want to maybe do one for Wordle. Okay, so we're going to do one more. So again, we need to make sure this is alone. So it is. So we can select just that. You know, I'm going to zoom in a little bit using the mouse wheel on the mouse. I'm going to just select that, and that is 2.8904. Oh, hold on. That is giving us slightly different ones. I wonder if that's going to be a problem. You know, let's just change that real quick. Okay, so we're going to write that down again. 2.8936. All right, and we're going to make a copy. Oh, no, we have to get out of that. We have to go back to select, and we need to select this, and we do Control C and then Control V. Now we'll move it over here, and we're going to make that. What are we going to make that, everybody? We are going to make that 2.8936. Boom. And then that is going to fit right in there. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so we have our 5 circles. We don't need these numbers anymore, so we can get rid of those. Is this everything that we need to make? Let's take a look at our picture. Oh, you know what? We need this thing right here in the middle. We need a little thing right there. So let's make that one. And that's just another little circle. Again, it's going to be a actual circle, so we want to hold down Shift when we use the ellipse tool. And it doesn't need to be very big. Let's make it about an inch. Okay, let's make that about an inch. All right. And we're good. Now, what else do we need to do? Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to do a hole in the middle of all of them. That's kind of important. We need to do that. So let's make another perfect circle. So we do Shift and ellipse. And I know that our dowels are 1/4 of an inch, and that's 0.25. So we're going to make this 0.25. But you know what? before you do this, you should measure the dowels and make sure that that's actually what they are, because that's what they're selling to us as. But they may be like 0.23 or 0.24. They may even be 0.21 or 0.19. So measure with the calipers the dowel, but we're just doing it right here quickly just to show you how to do it. So we're going to say 0.25, and I'm going to change that to red layer because I like to make all of my cuts red. Okay, and we're going to, oh, I left it on circle. I need to undo that. I need to go back to select. All right, we're going to move that into this one that we just did, and we're going to select both of them and we're going to align their centers. Okay, and that's excellent. But then, you know what, we also need this guy. We're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. So let's just Control C and Control V several of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we got 5 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Okay. And we're going to go over here. We're going to make sure that all of this is grouped. All right, let's group that. It is grouped. All right. And how I know that is that it wouldn't let us, hold on. Let me make sure that that is correct. Yeah, so it wouldn't let us group it. It would only let us ungroup it. See, that one's black and this one's kind of gray. Same thing here now. And then let's just make sure that all of these are grouped, and we don't want to accidentally select anything else. Yep, that needs to be grouped. All right, we're going to go over here and group that guy, and we're going to group this section, and I think we grouped this one, but I'm not sure. Nope, we didn't. Okay, so now with all of those grouped, we're going to go back in here and we're going to move these round cuts into the middle of each of those, or roughly the middle. All right, and we don't have to worry about getting it super exact right now, because what we're going to do is we're then going to select the whole circle, the whole group, and that, and we're going to do align centers, and that's going to automatically, and then you know what, when it does that and it's all selected, we're going to group it. All right, so it's one big group. All right, we're going to align centers, and then we're going to group, and the reason we're going to do all of that is so that we can move it around a little bit easier here in a minute. Okay, we're going to align center, group, we're going to go over here, align centers, group, we're going to do this one, align centers, see how it jumped, and then group. Okay, so now we've got all the stuff we want to do. If you want to do some text on it, like this says word wheel on this part and this has some text, you can absolutely do that. That would be on this one and this one. But we're not going to do that right now because we're just kind of showing you how to do this. Okay, so we're going to grab this one, and now we're going to kind of lay it out for cutting. Okay, we're going to smush them together kind of close. All right, because we want to not waste, whoops, we don't want to waste a lot of wood. All right, and this guy can go like there-ish, and this one can go there-ish, and this one can go like there. And can this guy get a little bit closer? Whoops, can this guy get a little bit closer? I think it can. Yeah. All right, so that's pretty good. That's going to use about the least amount of wood there for this configuration. There may be a slightly more efficient use of it. Let's see how big that is. That is 13, a little over 13 by 10. That's not too bad. Or a little over 10, or 10 and a half. All right, so, oh, but you know what? We didn't make these outsides of these circles cuts. They are still just going to be engraving. So we need to select everything. We want to ungroup it. All right, and we're just going to go back here, and we're going to select these outer circles. All right, and we're going to move them to, oh, nope, we don't want the whole thing. Let's undo that. All right, oh, well, it's not letting us select that. It was still grouped. So now I think it just let us get that one. We're going to, yep, there we go. Now see how that's red? Okay, we're just going to do that for everything else, all these other circles. All right, we just want the outer circle one, so first we have to make it alone. All right, and I know we just grouped it, but there we go. We just want to make that outer one red, and this is going pretty easy. It's really not that bad. Okay, and then we're going to select this guy. All right, we're going to make him alone. And then we're just going to select that one, and we're going to add it to the, we're just going to click on the O2 to make it red, right? And this is the very last one. All right. And now, what is that going to do? That's going to cut out, on the red lines, it's going to cut out all these circles. And on the rest of it, it's just going to engrave it. And then it's going to cut a circle in the exact same place in all of them that we can put a dowel through, and then glue those two the dowels at the ends, like on the original, like here. That's glued there, I believe. And then right there, that is glued because this doesn't move. And this back one doesn't really move, right? Like, if I'm spinning it now in an actual person, it is connected to the word wheel. So if you hold it in such a way that you spin the thing that says word wheel, the very back one goes. So that tells me that they're glued together with that dowel. But now we have that hole going all the way through. It's going to line up perfectly, and it's going to cut around these and engrave the rest. And that is what we need to do. Okay? If you have any questions, please ask Mike, and good luck.